You ain't ready for this either. He is such a messy.
Hypocrisy, as I mentioned. My colleague wants to come up here, call me a crook. Same colleague who's accused of being a woman beater.
I love this. George Santos, you are a legend, okay? Keep revealing all the skeletons, okay? I am such a fan. All right, we'll start off with George Jebediah Santos. But let's do
This
George
is an ABC News special report.
Good morning, I'm Terry Morano. We are coming on the air for a historic moment unfolding on Capitol Hill. New York Republican Congressman
Yeah, we're going to be
George
watching
Santos
the Jobbery vid too.
has just been expelled from Congress. He is only the 6th person in American history to be voted out of the House of Representatives. The results of the bipartisan vote really weren't that close. A 2/3 majority of the members present was needed, so the House is now made up of 221 Republicans and 213 Democrats. The final vote, 311 voting to expel Santos, 114 voting against it, and 2 members voting present. This vote narrows the already small majority held by Republicans in the House of Representatives. Prior to the vote, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson told Republican members to vote their conscience, saying he himself would not be voting to expel George Santos. But many Republicans, especially the New York delegation, decided they have had enough. Santos, who was inside the House chamber at the time of the vote, he's been a lightning rod for controversy since before he was even sworn into office. His ousting follows the release of a blistering report from the House Ethics Committee, which accused him of stealing money from his campaign for personal use, including paying for rent, for designer clothes, for Botox, and even for an adult website.
I mean, queen shit. King
We are
shit.
going to go now.
You know what I mean? It's just like that's what you're supposed to do. What am I supposed to do? Fucking spend it on what? Like lame ass bullshit, like trying to get reelected? I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. What is there, a law in the books that tells me I can't have fun with my with my campaign contributions? I'm sorry. Oh wait, you're telling me there are laws against it? Hold on. It's yeah, I I took the be gay, do crime mantra quite literally.
The ethics panel spent months interviewing 40 witnesses, pouring over 172,000 pages
This country
of documents to reach
sucks.
that conclusion. Santos has also been indicted by a federal grand jury. He's pled not guilty to 23 federal counts, including fraud and identity theft. Throughout it all, he has been defiant, insisting that he would force this vote. Now he's lost it. So let's get right to ABC senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott. Rachel, this is a historical moment. George Santos, the first person expelled from Congress who was not either a traitor to the country. 3 were Confederates who had been expelled previously or been convicted of crimes. He's been convicted of nothing, but the House decided he had enough.
Terry, we just watched history unfold in the House today. Congressman George Santos has officially been expelled from Congress, making him the 6th member of the House of Representatives to be forced out, the very first Republican member of the House to be forced out of Congress. This momentum has been growing for months, and this could not have happened today without the support of Republicans. In the end, you had more than 100 Republicans say that they support this push to expel Congressman George Santos from the House. From the moment that he walked through the doors here on Capitol Hill, he has been defiant. He's been accused of lying about his professional resume and his background. Then he pleaded not guilty to those 23 federal charges, including identity theft, unemployment fraud, and wire fraud. But it really was this latest report from the House Ethics Committee, which was blistering, accusing him of blatantly stealing from his campaign, using that money to fund trips to Atlantic City, even on Botox designer goods, that really caused this momentum to start to grow. This push from
I'm sorry. I love how gay his crimes are. It's awesome. Like that other guy who like was also criminally charged. What was his name? Fuck. The one who I think he was in California. The representative from California who like had his son buy a bunch of V-Bucks too, and also he was like buying vapes and shit. What was his name? Like that was very bro-y, right? Taking campaign contributions. Duncan Hunter, yes, Duncan Hunter taking campaign contributions and then like spending it on what did he use it on? Not to be confused with Duncan Hunter Sr., by the way. This is Duncan Hunter Jr. He was sentenced to 11 months in prison, scheduled to begin in January 2021, but then he was pardoned by President Donald Trump. And his crime was taking campaign contributions. In February 2017, Hunter's campaign offices were raided by the FBI as a part of the criminal investigation. Agencies, computers, other electronics, financial reports. They also seized a hard drive from the election CFO, an Alexandria, Virginia-based company that handled campaign finances on Hunter's behalf. The raid was not reported to the media until August 2017 after court documents intended to be filed under seal were accidentally released to the public. On March 2017, House Ethics Committee revealed that Hunter was under a Department of Justice criminal investigation for campaign finance violations and that it was deferring its own investigation as a result. The Office of Congressional Ethics report stated Representative Hunter may have converted tens of thousands of dollars of campaign funds from his congressional campaign committee, listen to this, for personal use to pay for family travel, flights, utilities, health care, school uniforms, and tuition, jewelry, groceries, and other goods, services, and expenses. Some of those goods, services, and expenses included vapes and also video games, if I'm remembering correctly, which was awesome. Hunter said that he repaid the money to the campaign and denied wrongdoing. He also announced that his wife would no longer receive a $3,000 per month salary for consulting with the campaign. Yeah, he bought Steam games, yeah. Now, of course, that was Duncan Hunter, who was pardoned and did not serve his prison sentence. He was supposed to go to jail for almost a year, 11 months. He got out, okay? In a statement issued through his lawyers, Hunter said that he repaid his campaign approximately $60,000. Hunter returned from international travel in order to address the issues around his campaign funds, promising to correct any inappropriate or mistaken charges. Meanwhile, the indictment also alleged that Hunter spent campaign money on personal relationships with 5 women in Washington, D.C. Anyway, this is a different Hunter, not Hunter Biden. So Republicans didn't give a shit about that. But George Santos, on the other hand, was a slay queen.
Republicans to say he needs to be forced out. And so now here you have it. Here we are. They expressed some concerns about the precedent that this would set. That's why you saw every single member of House leadership, including the new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, reject this push to expel Congressman George Santos. But this is effective immediately. As of right now, Congressman George Santos is no longer a member of Congress, Terry.
It really is a remarkable moment and a precedent, as you say. But for practical purposes now, the House Republican majority has been narrowed in the House of Representatives, already very slim. It's now 221 to 213. What happens next now that the 3rd district, a congressional district of New York, doesn't have a member of Congress? What happens next?
Yes, and Terry, Republicans were worried about losing a lot of their majority here, too. They went from a 4-seat edge now to a 3-seat edge. That is going to make things more complicated with pushing through their own priorities in the House chamber. And so, as I mentioned, this is now effective.
There are so many aspects of this that's hilarious, all the way from the fact that the Democratic Party was so goddamn confident in their districts in New York and so reactionary in their messaging that they lost an important seat in a district that is like otherwise a blue district, to a guy like George Santos, who had so much Oppo research on him, that the fact that every single person in the New York Democratic Party was not immediately fired or like thrown in jail for the malpractice that, in my opinion, constitutes extreme criminal levels of negligence, okay? If you are a staffer and you did not blast all of the George Santos lies leading up to the fucking election and just kind of drop the ball on that and then lost, you should straight up, you should just go to jail. You should go to jail, skip go, don't collect $200, go to fucking jail. Yeah, Santos district isn't even slightly blue. You mean not is even slightly blue, isn't even slightly blue. It's a blue district. It was a collaborative effort that the Democratic Party basically lost, the New York Democratic Party especially, basically lost that district, okay? A guy with that level of opposition research in a blue-ass fucking state, a Democratic stronghold, is not supposed to win, okay? That's a ridiculous situation. It's insane. Anyway, so the fact that I mean, no matter how bad Strong Island, Staten Island, no matter how fucking reactionary they get, no man with George Santos' background is supposed to win elections in a place like New York. No man with George Santos' background is supposed to even get through the Republican side. Okay? That's another way that that's another part of the part of the situation that I find rather odd, because like Republicans, of course, vet their own candidates. They're supposed to vet their own candidates. The fact that even the Republican guys were like, even the Republicans actually let this one slip is wild. Okay? Is wild, because his entire background is crazy. All of that stuff. I mean, this entire story is wonderful. We followed the George Santos story closely because I mean he's the GOAT. Yeah, New York Times didn't even pick it up. Empire Rock, pretty much. But then, all of this stuff comes to light after his dub. Okay, all of this stuff comes to light. Then Kevin McCarthy has a really unique problem. A very slim majority in the House of Representatives, and he wants to stay in power. So what does he do? He defends George Santos, hoping that it'll just go away. George Santos, on the other hand, is a ride or die comment. He's not like the type of person who's like, I'm poor, and that's why I need to steal this loaf of bread, or I need to steal this like designer bag so I can sell it so I can pay rent. George Santos is not doing crimes because he's desperate. He's doing crimes for the sake of doing crimes. He's doing it for the love of the game. So that's when you realize, like, oh, he's not going to stop, which he never did. And I told you guys this from the jump. If you go all the way back in time when the George Santos stuff was coming out, I told you a lot of the things that people yell at George Santos that we all joke about, that we all laugh about, are not necessarily crimes, like the whole reality, the lies that he told about how his parents died on 9/11, that was fake. How he was from Ukraine and also Jewish, that was also fake. All this stuff that I told you that his parents survived the Holocaust, also fake. None of that stuff will get you to lose your job. Okay, lying about playing volleyball at the high school that he went to, which he didn't go to, lying about playing volleyball at the collegiate level, at the college that he went to that he didn't actually go to. All of this stuff is just padding your resume on steroids. But what I told you back then that he would actually land him in trouble is his campaign contributions, because that is a clear violation of the law. And he did that. He did the one thing you're not supposed to do in the United States of America. There's already so many amenities you get when you're running for Congress. There's already, it's open season to just like give unlimited funds to pretty much every politician by way of dark money PACs, super PACs. And he still was like, nope, YOLO. And here we are. The Republican Party finally, after the Ethics Committee investigation concluded, came to the conclusion themselves that he is now too much of a liability. Now, what I also find hilarious about this is that it turns out George Anthony DeValder Santos wasn't just stealing from homeless veterans. He wasn't just stealing from the American population. He wasn't just lying to his own voters. He apparently also allegedly stole from Republican congresspersons and their mothers. Like, please, dude, where is the clip? We got to roll the clip. I've never seen such a fucking insane. I don't even understand how he did this. Like, I saw this video yesterday and I was like, what are you saying? Does anyone have the video? Yeah, he's Robin Hood. Let me see if I can find it. Max Miller just sent this email to all the House Republicans, which he, by the way, also talked about on the floor, the House of Representatives. Max Miller did. Colleagues. Oh, here it is. Let's watch this video and then we'll talk about the email. I promise you're not ready for this. Okay. I promise you are not ready for what you are about to see. Here is Representative Max Miller, who had some things to say about George Santos.
Just very brief. I myself have been a victim of George Santos, and as well as other members of Congress, in terms of defrauding through public donations. I had received an ethics complaint from the FEC, which I had to spend tens of thousands to defend myself. You, sir, are a crook. I know I should direct my comments to the chair. I yield back.
Apparently, earlier this year, I learned the Santos campaign had charged my personal credit card and the personal card of my mother for contribution amounts that exceeded the FEC limits. Neither my mother nor I approved these charges or were aware of them. We have spent tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees in the resulting follow-up. I've seen a list of roughly 400 other people to whom the Santos campaign allegedly did this. I believe some other members of this conference might have had the same experience. While I understand and respect the position of those who will vote against the expulsion resolution, my personal experience related to the allegations and findings of the Ethics Committee compels me to vote for the resolution. Since I alluded to this on the floor yesterday and because of the significance of the question before us, I believe you're entitled to this further explanation for my position. How? He was swiping cards? Like, what the fuck? Yeah, the best part about this is, you're right, Zenso Lipsist. How much you want to bet if he hadn't maxed it out and exceeded FEC limits, which is what, $2,700, I think? Which is why it's always funny whenever motherfuckers are like, Hasan, wow, the only political donations Hasan has ever made is to Bernie Sanders, and it's like, whatever, it's like $2,700. I forget what it is, or $3,300. Wow, that's a little amount of money. It's like, yeah, dumbass, more than that would be illegal, you fucking idiot. It's literally illegal. So stupid. That used to be a fucking hater talking point where people would be like, wow, Hasan claims to care about political activism and he's only fucking given Bernie Sanders amounts that don't exceed the FEC legal limit. In all seriousness, Santos would be immortalized an American folk hero via Broadway musical within 20 years. Yes. Every lie George Santos is told by New York Magazine, updated this morning at 11:24 a.m. This article has to be updated every day for you to keep up to date with George Santos's lies, because every new day is another opportunity for him to tell a lie. And also, every new day is an opportunity for us to find out about a lie that he told that he got away with. It's fucking awesome. This article is homophobic. It is homophobic. He should be able to do it. Now, we talked about Max Miller, right? Well, there's a follow-up to the Max Miller clip. Let's take a look at what George Santos had to say after that.
Gentleman's time has expired. Gentleman from New York, Mr. Santos is recognized.
I'd like to move to have the gentleman from Ohio's words stricken from the record, please.
Gentleman's request is not timely, but the chair will remind all members to direct their remarks to the chair and not to others.
Gentleman's request is not timely, but I would remind members to direct their remarks to the chair. Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker.
You ain't ready for this either. He is such a messy bitch.
Hypocrisy, as I mentioned. My colleague wants to come up here, call me a crook. Same colleague who's accused of being a woman beater. Are we really going to ignore the facts that we all have passed and we all have the media coming out against us on a daily basis?
Bro, he literally said, why is he bringing up the fact that I stole his and his mother's credit card and actually got them into legal trouble? Why is he bringing that up when he's a fucking accused wife beater? I love this. George Santos, you are a legend, okay? It's great. Keep revealing all the skeletons, okay? I am such a fan. Mr. Santos walked out of the chamber before the vote was finished, descending the House steps to a waiting car. Mr. Santos told reporters he was ready to turn the page on Congress. Why would I want to stay here, he said. Santos is like a corruption elemental. He's the corruption of our government given its physical form. He's a legend. He's fucking awesome, okay? And you need to respect it.
Immediately. So in the next 7 to 10 days, we will see the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, call for a special election. The special election would then have to happen in the next 70 to 80 days after it is called. But one thing that is important to note here, there is no guarantee that a Republican can hang on to that district. That is a district that President Biden won. It's a district that Congressman George Santos flipped as a Republican, and it will be very tough for Republicans to keep that seat, Terry.
So much at stake, the precedent and the politics. Rachel Scott in Congress. Thanks very much. Our coverage continues on ABC News Live and abcnews.com as well. And we'll have a complete wrap-up on world news tonight. I'm Terry Moran. Have a good day.
This has been a special.
Here is Giorgio Antonio DeValder Santos saying he expects to be expelled from Congress, which, of course, did end up happening.
All right, get this. Just 2 hours from now, House lawmakers are expected to hold a vote to expel New York Congressman George Santos. It comes following the release of a scathing ethics report that includes campaign finance abuse. Congressman George Santos joins us with an exclusive interview ahead of the critical vote. We'll decide if you're going to be packing up your office today. Congressman, how do you think this vote's going to go? If 290 vote for you to be expelled, you're gone.
Well, Brian, look, this is the prerogative of the members of this House, right? If they
Okay, the Botox is working, though. He does look snatched as a motherfucker. Excuse me. You can't hate on him. You can't. Look at this. Look at his face. What happened?
choose to do so, I haven't whipped it. I haven't campaigned. I want people to vote their conscience, and I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. So if it's their choice to change precedent and loop me in with 3 Confederate turncoats who were expelled for treason and 2 convicted members who were convicted in a court of law, so I'll be the first person to get expelled from Congress without a conviction or without committing treason. And it sets dangerous new precedent for the future to come. It's the demise of this body eventually.
So, I mean, the things that they're saying you did, you deceived donors, providing what they thought were going to be contributions to your campaign, but were in fact payments for your personal use. You reported fictitious loans to political committees to induce donors to give you more money. Used connections to high-value donors and other political campaigns to obtain additional funds for yourself through fraudulent means. Use campaign funds for your own benefit. Did you know at the time how wrong this is?
Bro, oh my God, bro. The laundry list just keeps going and going and going. He is just, Brian Kilmeade is like, hey, I will give you my last name right now, son. Your shit is
Brian,
fucked.
I haven't unpacked this, and I won't unpack this as out of respect to the process that I'm going with the DOJ. For me to go ahead and start talking about this, I go ahead and A, forego my rights. B, I undermine the process and the due process that the DOJ has afforded me. Unlike the Ethics Committee, they've been gentlemen about this. The prosecutors, the judge, everybody has been very gracious and above board. So for me to go out there and start talking about this and unpacking is exactly what my opponents would like me to do, to incriminate myself, to hurt my chances on my criminal.
I've never seen a more guilty person on television in my entire life. I mean, he literally, dude, just say, I'm not going to talk about it right now because there's a case going on. That's it. He literally is just like, bro, he's like, well, you know, I've done really illegal things, like the most illegal things you ever thought about. I'm doing illegal things right now. And because I love doing crime, I don't want to talk about the crime that I'm doing and will continue to do forever. And so, yeah, that's why I won't be talking about all the crimes that I love doing. Because I'm currently under federal investigation. Would you agree to have George Santos on stream? Fuck yes, dude. Are you kidding me? I would love to. George Santos is literally winning the convo by having better eyebrows. I mean, that part is true. Those are not just like regular old eyebrows. Those are eyebrows that the American taxpayers and George Santos campaign contributors paid for. Some of which didn't even know they were paying for that. They didn't even know they were donating to the George Santos campaign, apparently.
Okay, so obviously I won't be answering any of those questions to you today, sir.
Right. 3 money laundering charges, 7 counts of wire fraud, 23 criminal charges overall. So they had a couple of votes. They did not work. This one might be different. Historically, there's only 5 members of Congress who have been expelled. What would it mean to you to be the 6th? How do you process that?
I mean, it's really, it hasn't sunken in.
Say it's homophobic.
But it's really a tough thing to digest. I mean, especially when
it's homophobic, it's Latinx phobic. Okay? It's anti-Semitic. It's anti-Ukrainian. It's anti-victims of 9/11 and their family members. I am all of those things, and I stand before you, a man who himself was a part. You know what? I've decided I was also a 9/11 survivor in some ways. You are behaving in very anti-Semitic ways by coming after a 9/11 survivor who also is Jewish, whose grandparents actually survived the Holocaust, and were Ukrainian as well, simultaneously. That's what's happening here, and he should say it.
I've come here, all of the work I've done in this body has been above board. Nobody can actually question my ethics and my conduct in Congress, unlike...
Wait, what do you mean? They quite literally can, and they quite literally did. That's exactly what the ethics committee did. Question your ethics. And found out that you are deeply unethical. He's so delusional. I love him. I love him so much.
Some of my colleagues who are on drunken tirades going after their former staff, but I'm the one being pinned for all of this nonsense. And here I am, like, about to join a long history of due process of people who committed atrocities. Meanwhile, I have been only accused. This is, I have a scheduled court appearance for September 9th next year to start a trial. That's what's on the books right now. But these guys want an expedient, conclusive decision now. They don't care what the facts are, so much so that they put in the report that I was exonerated from sexual harassment, but then Michael Guest, as an author, put it in his expulsion resolution. It's contradictory to his own committee's work. His committee didn't suggest expulsion, but here he is, writing this on with the Long Island Republicans in New York. And look, that's just hypocrisy at its finest.
So yesterday, you went ahead and fired an ethics violation to Jamal.
Trump needs to make George Santos his vice president. I've decided. Many people have talked about, like, who is going to be the VP. You got it. We know. He's right there, man. He's right there. And he should be doing that, not for, like, any reason. Like, and there's no George Santos constituency other than obviously messy gays, which not exactly a big coalition there, but it's like the entirety of the what's the podcast? Fuck. The not even Red Scare, no. Not Fear End. Well, Fear End, for sure. No, Seeking Derangements. Thank you, Arcanic G. That's the entirety of the Seeking Derangements podcast, the entire fan base of the Fear End podcast. That's pretty much it. That's like, we are the George Santos constituency. However, Trump needs to do that specifically for the love of the game. He needs to do it because he absolutely loves people who do cons like this.
Bowman for pulling the fire alarm. And you said, Bowman said this in his statement: "No one in Congress or anywhere else in America takes soon-to-be former Congressman George Santos seriously. This is just another meaningless stunt in his long history of cons, antics, and outright fraud." Your reaction?
Well, the reaction is he's a criminal. He admitted to it in court. He obstructed a federal proceeding. And
that's so funny. Like, Jamal Bowman pulling the fire alarm is the worst thing that anyone could have ever done. I say, as I stand before a federal investigation for like 100 different crimes. It's like screeching about a fucking jaywalking ticket, dude. It's fucking awesome.
Look, everybody in America knows, had he been a Republican or a member of the general public, he would have been indicted on a felony charge of obstructing an official proceeding, much like the J6ers in Washington, D.C. today.
So I know Mac.
I love that this is what Jamal Bowman did, is just like the January 6ers. Except the January 6ers shouldn't go to jail, and Jamal Bowman should go to jail. What Jamal Bowman did is very similar to what the January 6ers did, okay? And if not worse, but also he should go to jail, and we should take out the January 6ers from jail.
Gates says he's not going to vote to expel you. Steve Scalise, Jim Jordan, Lauren Boebert will not vote to expel you. It probably won't be enough. Do you think you're going to get expelled today?
Well, look, I don't know. I've accepted the fate. Look, I believe that if it's God's will to keep me here, I will stay. And if it is his will for me to leave, I will leave, and I will do so graciously.
George, as they roll through all the things you said and everything about working at Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, being Jewish, have you been doing this?
Yes, he hit him with the being Jewish. Come on, dog. That shit's crazy.
This your whole life, just embellishing and making things up. Is this the first time you've been forced to pay for this?
Brian, look, I can go.
Dude, Kill Me's actually doing a great interview for once. I mean, dude, it's impossible. It's impossible to look at George Anthony DeValder Santos, and like try to find something that's defensible. The fact that he was able to get away with it for this long due to like, you know, internal affairs within the Republican Party is a testament to how fundamentally broken the Republican Party is. He was a liability from the jump. Like anyone could have fucking made that call. He was a massive liability. Jebediah Santos.
And rehash everything that I've said, but it's been so wildly documented on all of the questions you just asked, and to the short.
He ran unopposed. No, that doesn't matter. What do you mean? You think the Republican Party doesn't vet its own fucking members? That's crazy. Like not having. First of all, that's not even true. He ran and lost time and time again. He ran and lost twice, I believe, in the New York area. So the idea that you think that the RNC is just going to dump funds into you without like doing their due diligence is crazy.
Short answer is, would I have not said certain things? Would I have done things differently? Absolutely. I'm an adult and I'm mature enough to acknowledge that. But to think that I've built my entire life based on what the media is trying to package over the last couple of months is not fair. It is not true, and it is dishonest. So I have a life. I have people around me who've been in my life my entire life who are appalled at what the media has been doing. So I think that should tell you enough of who I am and my character.
You don't think you brought this on yourself?
Oh, look, in some way, I think we all bring stuff on ourselves, right? I just acknowledge I bear responsibility, but what has been made out of mistakes that I've made in the past that I've admitted to on national television, on this network with Tulsi Gabbard last December, I dare most members of Congress have the same courage to come on here and tell the entire American public on national television exactly what I did and own up to their shortcomings and be humble and have the humility to do so.
All right, and just a final thought is, you expect to be expelled today?
Look, like I said, I don't expect, but I do believe they have the votes. Congressman Lilota said he had 150. He walked it back to 120. Look, 150, 120, the difference is they need about 77 Republicans. If that's the numbers they're dwelling with, I think they have it.
Well, you're my congressman. There's going to be a special election if you're expelled today, and then we'll see. And then we got another election in November.
I hope you have a shot at a conservative, Brian, because you won't know what a conservative looks like on Long Island once I'm gone.
Right. Although Long Island is pretty red. Congressman, thanks so much. And Peter King did have that seat for a long time. Congressman Santos, for now, best of luck.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe.
For now, best of luck. What a great way to send him off.